Good morning. Today is one more day on my journey. It's day 34 already. So this morning I contacted my nurse navigator to see if she could schedule my radiation and chemo appointments a little closer together because currently they're scheduled starting on the 16th, 8:30 in the morning for the radiation, which probably takes about 15-20 minutes, half hour tops. And then my next appointment for the chemo is at 10 in the morning, and there's like this hour gap, and I'd kind of like it to be a little closer if I could. So I was checking with her to see if she could do that because that's her job, to do that kind of thing. So I'm kind of anxious to see how this comes out, if it happens or if it doesn't. Either way, I guess I'll make that appointment no matter what. So that's the way it is. Well, today I really wanted to talk about a friend of mine because, mainly because she's been on my mind for a while now, and she's actually one of my godmothers. Remember when I was talking about godmothers in our lives, and it could be a godfather, but she happens to be a godmother. This is a woman that I worked with. I probably worked with her for 3 or 4 years maximum. She's kind of amazing, actually. She's tall. She always wore 3-inch slides, shoes you just slid your foot into. No backs, no toes usually, just a little piece of leather across the ball of your foot. And these were the 3-inch skinny heels. She was like in her 60s. She was an extremely fast typist. She was like totally amazing to anybody who could listen to her. But anyway, so she always did kind of, she just kind of had an interesting life. She met with her friends a couple times a week to play bridge. And every summer she got an Emmer Pass, which is with the Greyhound bus department back in the day. And I don't know if it was for a limited period of time, but during that time frame, you could travel anywhere in the continental USA. And so she really took advantage of that. So she went, got on the bus, and she would just travel wherever. And she just had the greatest time, and she would always talk about her friends and stuff that she met there. And so it was, so that's the background to her. Well, anyway, we worked together about 4 years, as I said, and then my husband and I and our family, we moved away. But she happened to have a daughter that lived close by where we moved to. So we would see her like once a year. Now, we were not like friends, we were like working buddies, but we became friends because of her coming to visit, which I just always thought that was so interesting. But her concept of travel is so unusual and different. This is why I need to talk about her. When she came to see us, we live in an area where the states are relatively close. And so these were states that she wanted to visit and see. And of course, an average person, you'd say, oh, I want to go see such and such or whatever. And that's what you do. You travel there, you spend an hour or two or whatever it takes to do whatever to see it. Well, not this girl. She would get in the car and she'd say, okay, so let's go. And we would go wherever she said to go. And then she'd get there and this will only take me a minute, she'd say. And she'd step out of the car and she'd say, oh, now I've been in such and such a state. And then we travel to the next one. And she'd do the same thing. She'd just step out of the car, put her foot down on the ground, and then she'd been in that state. And it always made me laugh. I thought that was just such an interesting concept and actually kind of fun if you want to know the truth. So one time she asked, could we possibly go to New York? And so I arranged for us to take the a commuter jet into New York, and we had 2 nights and 3 days. So when we first got into New York, it was about 9 o'clock in the morning, and so we took the cab to our hotel, and and we stopped at, the first thing she wanted to do was go to the United Nations building. So I'm all set to get into the tour line, of course, but not my friend. You better believe she's not going to get into any kind of line to tour. So, well, let's go have breakfast, she says. Okay, so we go downstairs, we have breakfast at the United Nations building, and we leave. So now we've seen the United Nations building. How terrific was that, right? So that's kind of the way our trip was, just a fun stop in kind of place. So anyway, so we went to see the Statue of Liberty, which at that time was under construction or reconstruction when they were fixing it. So, but we went to the island, and we got off, and I'm ready to get into the line that goes up into the statue to the crown. And of course, that's not what we did. Yeah, it never happened. We stopped and had French fries at the fast food place. Okay, so that was our trip to that island, and Ellis Island, and the Statue of Liberty. And so that's kind of how it was. We went down the streets of New York, and we saw Saks Fifth Avenue, Tiffany's, the 21 Club. We'd all been there, but the best was, this is the very best. You know, back in the day when Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn movies and all those kind of big ticket movies were being done, Waldorf Astoria was always featured if they were in New York. So she and I, we went and we had tea on the mezzanine. And of course, there's the piano player playing. And we actually did have tea on the mezzanine. And it was such fun. But she gave me such a interesting concept of travel, which is so different. So every time after that, when Harry and I would travel, we'd go, well, let's just step out today and jump back in the car. And we'd always laugh about that. We never did it, but we always laughed about that. And the other thing I want you to know about this wonderful friend is that she never once ever forgot my birthday. I always thought that was so interesting. She would send me a scarf, a bookmark. Now, these are things that she all got free someplace, I know for a fact. But you know what? It didn't matter because she never forgot it. Like, how did she even remember that for all the years, until she passed away? I have no concept. But anyway, that's why she's one of my godmothers. I think she really gave me a chance to just experience life in a different way than I would have done, that I would do. And she certainly, as far as travel goes, she really thought outside the box. And I think that her friendships were so important to her. And that's why she never forgot them. And to emulate her would be phenomenal. I try my best, but I don't think I even began to come close. But anyway, that's my story today, and that's my godmother, one of the many. And I'd like you to have an opportunity to really think about the godfathers, godmothers, whatever in your life, and share that with someone. That this person who just came in, did no expectations, and walked out and left you with something more. It could be somebody that you just met for a minute. Maybe you met her in a bookstore and you just struck up a conversation, but something she said means a lot to you. That could be a godmother. That could be a godfather. That could be whatever, a god uncle. I don't know. Anyway, that's my story today. Talk to you soon. Bye.